Uh, Jen, it says we've been granted a one-time temporary extension until 19th of Jan. Because it says our storage is still full.
Yeah, it is still full. I'll sort it out tomorrow.
Okay, cool. Hello and welcome. Welcome to Freedom Thinking's community group. Thanks for joining us. There's a couple of people still to come on yet. But thank you to everybody who's come tonight. As per, I personally don't have an awful lot planned. Jen and I have just come off a wonderful 4-day intensive with a family who's just been, it's just been beautiful. It's been really, really beautiful. Just finished that today. And they've gone off back to their respective homes. So it's been really, really nice. We've had a lovely 4 days and it's gone so nicely. So now we're here and we haven't really got a lot to talk about. If nobody's got anything they want to talk about, if there's nobody got anything that's a query or an observation or an insight they've had recently, anything that they want to share, then I'm sure we'll dig something out of the box. I'm sure we'll find something we can talk about. But I'd just like to open this up and see if anybody's got anything they want to share, any questions. What about this? What about that? I know everybody on this screen has been around the principles for a while now, and this is a place of exploration for all of us. It's a place of exploration for me and Jen. You know, it's really nice when we start to share, we start to learn, because we say stuff we actually didn't know before, and it's a beautiful way for us to learn as well. Wendy's back in, here she comes. So yeah, so this is an open mic night, and we'd love this to be interactive. So yeah, anybody got anything they want to talk about?
I'd like just to share something.
Go, Ange.
It's good actually.
That's good.
Yeah. Last year at the end of last year, my house sale went through. And you know me all the way through this. I've been patient in waiting for things to happen. And when I got, like, the house sale went through and everything, one of my things I wanted to do was maybe get a new car. Because the one I've got it needs sorting out. So I was gonna buy it like straight away when I got the house sale. Anyway, there was something that was in me going, no, not yet, don't do it yet. And our Dan's mad on cars. He said, "Hey, Mum, let's go to the garage and let's go and find a car." And I'm like, no, not yet, Dan. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right at all to go and buy something now, even though I could have gone and got whatever I wanted to get. Anyway, I got another couple of things for the house and stuff. And where are we now? Middle of January. I was sat on Saturday and I was just reading my book, sat in my chair here reading my book on the morning, and there was something in my head and it went, you need to go and buy a car today. And I'm like, why all of a sudden has that come into my head? I never woke up with any feelings of buying cars or anything. It had sort of gone out of my head. Anyway, I was like, I put my book down and like thought about it and that. And the next thing I knew, I was phoning our Dan and saying, "Dan, can we go looking for a car today?" And he said, what's happened there? Why have you changed your mind? I said, I don't know. It's just come into my head. I need to go and get a car today. I said, it's something saying I need to buy it. So he said, oh yeah, ma'am, because he loves cars. He said, well, then we'll go and I'll get Alex and we'll go and we'll have a look for a car. Anyway, Marsh, my husband, he always said about Honda Civic cars, that it was one of his favourite cars, but we never actually got round to getting one. And I'd said to Dan as we were going over to this garage, I said, I want a Honda Civic and I want a white one. And he said, all right. So why do you want one of them? I said, because it was Dad's car and he wanted me to have one. He wanted us to have one. I said, but we never got round to it. I said, I want a white Honda Civic car. So he said, well, then we'll go to the Honda garage. So off we went, off to the Honda garage in Stockton. And went and had a look, and there was this lovely blue one there, absolutely beautiful. It was a good price and the reg and everything. And as the fella came out with the keys, and he said, there's one that's just come in a couple of days ago. He said it's only got 1,200 miles on the clock. He said, it's over there. He said, but it's white. And I'm like, you're joking? I said, really? And he went, yeah. And Dan said, what? I said, I need the white card. And I said, a Honda Civic. He said, Mum, he said, there'll be something with it if it's that price. Anyway, we went and had a look. And it was perfect, and the boys couldn't find anything wrong with it at all. So I did the test drive, went up the A66, did the test drive. And Alex had said to me, he said, do you need to have a good think about this? I went, no, this car's mine. I said, I was meant to have this car today. There was just something that had come to me. So went back to the garage and signed all up, and I got it on Friday. And I had no intentions of getting that car or any thought of buying a car when I woke up. But I just knew I had to get one. And it was a white one with 1,200 miles on a 69 plate. Brilliant. So, it's like that thing of having to wait. I've done this loads of times where I've had to be patient, where I've never been patient before, but with this new understanding, it's like, right, if time doesn't feel right, don't do it. And I didn't, and this has just had to be. So I'm just over the moon, you know what I mean? It's really good. And it's happened again. I've been patient and waited, and it's happened. So I just wanted to share that, my good news.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. There was a knowing within you somewhere.
Yeah.
That was the time. Go, move, act.
Exactly what I wanted. You know what I mean? Why I saw the blue one, I couldn't see a white one, but this white one was just round there. He said, oh, this white one just coming round there, 1,200 miles on the clock, 69 reg. And I was like, oh, I just didn't believe it. And I was just so excited and happy when I saw it, and there was nothing wrong with it. And I got more than my car.
It's so nice. Buying second-hand cars to me is like, oh,
yeah.
What's wrong with it? How much is this going to cost me? And it takes me a few months to settle in of driving them and going, there's not a lot wrong with this. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, that was it. We were half expecting it to be me to get maybe, I think it was about 700 or 800 more for my car than I thought, or Alex thought we were going to get as well. So everything just fell into place.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice. I love that when we're just moved. Our intellect can be battling away within ourselves. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Our little ego churning away in its little hamster wheel there, restlessly, just anxiously, just pondering away, and all of a sudden you just beyond that, there's this move now. Okay, I'm moving now. And that can go for people in all kinds of situations. I've experienced that within my life. Same kind of phenomena within my life. What do I do? 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 Move. Okay. And everything just falls into place nicely. And it's that, to me, the way I see that, it's that deeper knowing part of ourself. That's beyond the intellect, that's beyond the ego. It is wise, it is knowledgeable, it does know. And that's the thing that I feel like gets brought more into the fore through this kind of conversation, through looking in this direction. And as the mind starts to quieten down, one of the things that day two, that one of these, the young girl, her daughter that came with this family we've just been working with, she said, my mind is so quiet I can hear myself for the first time. And we're just walking along, we're going from Grasmere to Rydal, we're going along Rydal Ward. And I was like, what did you do to attain that state? And she said, nothing. And it's like then you started to hear the wisdom coming out of her, this knowledge, this beautiful knowledge that she had always carried and always will carry. It was always there. It was just lost behind the comings and goings of the little ego chuntering away. She said, I've always had this going in my head. She said, it's just gone quiet. And that's what happens, you know, when we look in this direction, it's like, that's what happens. The mind just gets quieter. And it's not that it doesn't ramp up sometimes. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it really ramps up. But on the whole, you know, it does go down quicker and you find yourself back in that quiet mind space again and presence. And then you get information, then you can start to receive knowledge. And I think that's ace. Congratulations on your new car, love.
Thank you.
That's really, I like the Honda Civic. Good. When?
Oh, hi. That was really lovely, Ange, what you just shared. And your response to Dave, I found interesting. And it reminded me, what came quickly into my head was, if any of us have had the opportunity to, I don't know if the right word is fall in love, but you find somebody that you really want to spend your life with, you typically know it deep down. It's clear. Either it happens the minute you met them or after date 14 or whatever it is, but you just kind of go, "Hmm." Now, does our mind get crazy about, should I marry them? Should we just live together? Should we live at my house? Should we live at their house? Your mind can get crazy, but typically that knowledge is very, very clear. You know, and if somebody were to say, well, why do you love Jeff? And if I would say, well, and list his qualities, they might go, okay, yeah, you know, but they might not be able to see it or feel like they want to marry him, my husband. But so I just find that everybody has that experience of having something that makes great deal of sense way down deep, and there's no dialogue about it. There's no, you know, like I said, other things might have dialogue about it, or the mind might get a little bit crazy, but we all, or, you know, you meet your child for the first time, an adopted child, a baby that you just had. I love you, period. End of story. I know it. I feel it. There's no weighing and measuring. Should I, shouldn't I? It just comes, you know, or you meet a pet, the puppy that you go, oh, that puppy, not that one, not that one. That one, you know, we all kind of know what that feels like. That's all. Thanks.
Nice, thank you. I think we all need to see a picture of Jeff now. he's hot, is he? Oh, he's hot. Yeah, come okay. Ali, how are you, love? You all right? Are you audio's playing up? You just said that. Are you going to screen share, show us Jeff, or is it?
I want to get the best photo, so keep going. I'll show you.
All right. Good to see Jeff. All right, anybody else?
Got a question. So, you know, I've said a couple of times, what if there's no problem? Well,
What if there is?
well, it's more like, because in those situations, it just looked really clear. Maybe it was because it didn't relate to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what if it really looks like there is a problem?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Right. What if it really looks like there is a problem? Then it really looks like there is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to elaborate anymore or not.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I've kind of on and off had like health anxiety, but it's always like about my kids rather than me. And it's just really ramped up again in the last like week or so. And I just get really like, my mind gets really busy thinking that something's a problem. And then it just sees loads and loads and loads of different places where it might be a problem. And it was kind of unfortunate this time because I was worried about like this room in my parents' house that's got a load of mold in it. And then, so my kids live like 50% of their time there with me. And then I happen to be in my house that I don't live in, where my kids live with their dad, and noticed some peeling wallpaper and found a load of mold behind it. So mold's kind of looking like quite a big problem. And I just keep like thinking more and more things like, what if it's there? What if it's there? My parents don't want to get rid of the mold in their house because they don't really think it's a problem. But I remember reading ages ago about all the problems, and it's like, yeah, it's just so much busyness. And it looks like a real problem because it feels like my job is to keep my kids safe. And, you know, if I were to like look online for, oh, what to do if you find mold, the answer is always get rid of it. But it's not quite that simple. But then in my house where I can get rid of it, that's really, really stressful because then I'm wondering about how do I get rid of it in a way that's the safest for my kids? And then I don't know, it just keeps going on. It's like, I know it's possible, that it would be possible for people to deal with this in a way that isn't really, really stressful. But I just keep losing perspective, and it looks like a really massive problem. And it feels like I'm being really irresponsible by not, like, I don't know, moving my kids out into a hotel or something. I don't know. It just looks really messy.
Well, firstly, we don't use the M word around Jenny.
Oh,
Freaking mold. The amount of times I hear that word come out of Jenny's mouth. Yeah, you know, keep your kids safe. And that's something we all have to figure out who've got kids. And, you know, keeping ourselves safe as well. You know, you have got a body, and there are things that are detrimental to the body. You know, it's like, we all know the risk of smoking. If you're smoking, you're putting your body at risk. Alcohol, drugs, you know, mold. You know, some people, Joe Bailey, you've been on the call lately with Joe Bailey.
well, it kind of started after that, yeah.
That's some joke. Well, I've got no idea as to what extent his house was moldy, but he does live in a very, very, very damp part of America. And so, I mean, when it comes to it, we can go, oh, you know, I think many people come across this and go, oh, well, you know, it's just a thought, isn't it, that mold? Well, it's like, well, no, it's a real kind of hazard in this world to our physiology, and the only place we ever truly live is inside this body. You know, that really is our home. Our true home is our body. Why would we not want to look after our home, keep our home tidy and clean? And why would we want to damage it? We won't smash up our house. Why would we smash up our physiology? You know, so I think when it comes down to it, it's like worry can be, you know, worry can get us to move. Worry can kind of get us to think about things. Shit, I haven't thought about that. Fucking hell, what about my kids? What about, fucking hell, that's quite a scary thought, that. You know, it can get us to move. It can be quite a useful thing. It's not somewhere to live, but it's an emotion that we have been granted the capacity to experience. And nature doesn't make mistakes. It doesn't make mistakes. So we are gifted with the ability to experience all emotions and all feelings. And sometimes worry drives us to action. But like I say, it's not somewhere to live. And that's where
But it also can be quite paralyzing.
that's the point. If we start to live there, it can become quite paralyzing.
Mm.
You know, and whilst we're staying in worry, there's no capacity for new thought. So starting to understand this, excuse me, coughing, starting to understand the nature of mind, you know, does allow us, does grant us the ability of acceptance of when we are stuck in worry, and the ability to understand that this will come and go. I'm not talking about the mold, I'm talking about the experience of worry. It comes and goes. And the moment we start to realize that and remember that, it's like, well, the power's taken out of it. You know, it's fine. It becomes finite as opposed to infinite. It has the capacity to just go back to where it came from, and new thought can be born. But yeah, no person in the right mind would say don't keep your kids safe when it comes to this, especially with things like mold. You know, I've heard some really nasty things, respiratory problems created by them, by the spores. I mean, but what you have also been gifted with is the capacity to deal with your life. And this goes for everybody on the planet. We're all gifted with the ability to deal with whatever we are facing. I feel so much of the time we've been so disempowered because we've looked to experts and things like that for advice, which is great. You know, it's great to listen to experts, but we almost lose our own ability to make a decision. We become paralyzed just in our lack of what's the word? Our lack of confidence within ourselves to do the right thing. We all have the capacity to do the right thing. We all have the capacity to have conversations that need to be had in a way that is probably going to be most productive. We have to find that, and that's going to be dependent on the individual that we're speaking to. You know, but you know your parents. They are your children, and you do have a say over your children. So I don't know, maybe you print out some information on mold and just say, look, and you might think I'm being a bit over the top, but just have a look at that, would you, please? This is from an expert. People like experts. It's from an expert. And perhaps they may read it and realize understand the logic of your concern. You know, but no, at no point are we saying it's just a thought. We're saying you are gifted with the power of thought. Now, how you use it will determine whether or not you have a successful outcome with what you want to do, what you want to achieve. But yeah, sitting around worrying achieves nothing. It really doesn't. It's something that we kind of get used to doing because we become so afraid. You know, we're so afraid of life as human beings. We don't even know what the fuck life is, but we're afraid of it. You know, and
Yeah, I mean that it does really feel like whatever option I think of just seems really scary. And I have spoken to my parents about what I've kind of heard about mold. I think, but the kids have been here for nearly 2 years. They don't have any respiratory problems, and they don't actually. No one goes in that room. We keep the door shut. You know, they've got all reasons why they don't. And they might, they might even be right, because I'm not a mold expert. Like, if it was in the room and you could smell it, like, I think they think differently. And that, like my mum would say, but I grew up in houses with mold. We didn't have central heating and insulation and whatever. Our bodies are resilient, and it might not be perfect, but I don't think it's terrible. And but I just feel like I'm really fixated on the expert advice, which is rip everything out, get rid of everything, don't expose yourself to it at all. I mean, so that's what I mean about the kind of the lack of balance. It's not, because my parents have said, well, yeah, we can keep the door shut. You can even put tape around the door if you really want. It's not like they're being totally no, your kids have to sleep in a moldy room or whatever. But they're just like, it's 400-year-old walls. They get damp.
Yeah.
you know, that's what it's like when you live in an old house.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't know the answer to your predicament. But the only thing I do know is that if you can, try and maintain a sense of perspective and just go easy on yourself when you can't. You know, beating ourselves up for worrying is just like, well, it's like kicking the shit out of ourselves when we're already down. Doesn't make us feel better. Doesn't do any good. In fact, it does us no good. It just makes everything worse. So
Yeah.
sometimes we worry. Sometimes I worry about something. You know, at the beginning of COVID, I fell into quite a deep worry when I started to, you know, do my own research. And it took me a while to find my way out. I found my way out. It wasn't anything like I'd experienced before. I never thought, in my arrogance and in my ignorance, I thought I would never go down those kind of depths of darkness again. But even having seen what I've seen, no, I'm not immune from worry. Nobody is. Nobody on earth is. Like I say, it's a perfectly normal human experience. But it's not somewhere to be lived. And perspective, a new perspective pulls us out. So be open to new perspectives. Be open. Do you know, ask yourself. One of the things I asked myself, I remember one night I went to bed and I was in a proper head fuck, and I asked I said, my inner self, is there really anything that I need to be afraid of in this situation or in life at all? And my mind just went totally silent, instantaneously. And I kind of took that as a bit of a sign. No, there is nothing I need to worry about here. Next night, I asked myself exactly the same thing, because it came back that next day. And I asked my inner self, is there anything I need to really be worried about in this situation or in my lifetime? Again, my mind just went totally silent. All the nonsense and chatter just stopped, like somebody pressed stop. And I saw it was just mental chatter. Because in reality, in true reality, there is nothing anybody needs to worry about in this lifetime. Never. Not life, not death. Not even suffering. We don't need to worry about it. We can deal with everything that we face. We always have. We are gifted with a deep, deep intelligence. The intelligence of infinite knowledge. In there lies the answer. It lies inside us. The answer to every single question we've ever asked lies within ourselves. The answer comes from exactly the same place the question was formulated. Yeah. I'm pretty ignorant on mold. I've heard it's pretty nasty. But you're absolutely right. You grew up in a moldy house. Or house with mold, should I say, as opposed to a moldy house. Sounds a bit better. And you were all right. You know, that's the thing, you know, some of these things, they don't affect everybody the same. You know, somebody has a cold or flu, and then the next person doesn't get it. Joseph said here, bleach mix with water and a cloth. The dry with a clean. Bleach mix with water and a cloth.
Oh yeah, it's because it's in the walls, like they're
right.
they're like 2 foot thick stone walls, and it's no damp proof course because they're like 400 years old. So I could get the surface, but thank you. You can clean it off the surface, but yeah. And to be fair, my kids have had COVID like 3 times and didn't get it badly, so they probably have got reasonable lungs. It's just I read somewhere about like, actually, can can I say stuff about mold if Jen really doesn't like it? But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I read somewhere about some link to like liver cancer or something, and then like as soon as I've seen that, because actually if my kid's got a respiratory disease, I probably would be like, yeah, I think they need to move out. Like I'm just gonna have to find a way to move out. But when it's like oh yeah, this thing might happen in the future, and there's not like loads of solid evidence that it will happen, but it might happen, and I don't want to be the parent that caused it. That's kind of it. Just that kind of worry doesn't feel very productive. Is that the right word? Like it's loads and loads of what ifs.
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about them getting a respiratory problem, because I kind of think, well, then I can deal with that when it happens. But if they get something that I think is going to like kill them, I am worried.
The thing is, you look at anything, you Google anything, it comes with a potential health hazard.
Yeah.
We're sat looking with radiation pouring out of our screens in a Wi-Fi
Yeah.
electromagnetic field. You know,
I do turn the Wi-Fi off at night because that does bother me a little bit.
I
But I feel like that's balance.
We turn our Wi-Fi off and we turn our phones off at night time. We
Yeah.
reduce our electromagnetic smog. But I think when you look at things like Chernobyl,
Mm.
when Chernobyl went up, and it was said that life wouldn't exist there for 1,000 years,
Mm.
and it is teeming with life. And the life isn't getting cancer, the wolves, the bears, the birds, they're not getting cancer from the radiation. We must understand that nature is also deeply intelligent. It's deeply, deeply intelligent. You know, we have the capacity to heal within ourselves. Thought is a frigging powerful thing.
Yeah.
You know, you think down the lines of illness, it's amazing what you can manifest for yourself. I know.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I know
I've
somebody.
I've got some quite creative ideas. Well, they are plausible, but they're just unlikely.
Yeah, but I've got a deeply, a very close friend of mine who thinks all he thinks is illness. I call it his hobby. Like, what are you doing today? He's like, I'm going to go and see a therapist, and then I'm going to go and see a reflexologist. And I'm like, oh, okay, see you later. And it's like, I see it as his hobby, because his whole hobby is worrying about his health, and he comes up with all kinds of ailments. Unbelievable. I mean, I would love to see the list of ailments that man's had. I'd love to see it over his lifetime. Drives his wife mental. But he thinks himself into illness. Complete, not a hypochondriac.
That's what I guess that's part of like where I worry, that I'm like, I worry about, it's really hard to know the difference between a reasonable worry and a just totally like, well, that's not even quite right. It's like,
Well, whilst you're worrying, there's not a lot to worry about. Whilst you are worrying that there might be something to worry about, there's not a lot to worry about. However, when something presents itself, then you'll act. But in the meantime, all you're doing is sitting around in what ifs. So
yeah.
whilst you're sitting around worrying, there is nothing to worry about, really, is there? Because if there's something to worry about, you'd be acting.
Yeah, someone did say to me something like, if there was a fire, you would just get out. You wouldn't even think about it. You just do it. So it's not like this is a literally life or death thing now, and you might do something about it. And I saw Wendy's message about like accidents, car accidents, and like that. Yeah, I there's loads of things where I do have a proportionate view. Like I drive my kids and it's fine, and then there's just odd things, like they're always to do with like contamination or whatever like this, and it just really, like, my mind just loves it.
Yeah, and just become comfortable with that. You want to get rid of it, and so you've gone to war with it. Well, how do I get rid of this? How do I stop this? How do I stop this? You say, I don't stop my thoughts. This is one of the things. I have all kinds of bonkers thoughts, but I'm not asked. You know, it's like that was one of the kindest things this understanding showed me. I'm not afraid of my experience. I'm not afraid of how I feel. I'm not afraid of what I think. And so in being like that, in finding that within myself, and I had to discover it for myself, that just because I think it and feel it, it doesn't mean it's true and real.
Yeah.
Okay? My feelings are not giving me information about the world. My feelings are giving me information about something that's coming through me. Some idea that's being born into my consciousness.
It's like that Michael Neal TED Talk when he says, I labeled my suicidal thought Bob, and I'd say, oh, there's Bob again, bothering me, right? And I found that really helpful. Like,
Yeah.
just because it's in there doesn't mean, you know, it's like crazy Uncle Bob, my crazy suicide thought. I'm not going to pay attention to that right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like when we get comfortable, you've got a quirk within your character, and that quirk is it's a bit stressy about health. And I've got a quirk within my character. It can be quite aggressive. I can have some aggressive thought. You know, it's a quirk within my character. It's not who I am. And because I accept it, it doesn't really have much chance to kind of grow and build. You know, the moment we start trying to change our thoughts, get rid of them, you're actually creating it. You're feeding it. Because wherever our consciousness goes, look at that pencil. State of it. Look at the state of that
So
pencil.
you're going to show me a mouldy pencil.
Well, it practically is a mouldy pencil. It's the scabbiest looking pencil. Just look at the state of it. Look at that scabby. Yeah, I mean, God knows whose mouth that yellow paint's gone off in. I hope it's not mine. But it's like when your attention's on the pencil,
Yeah.
there's no stressing about anything. All you see is the scabby, mouldy pencil. And that's not a thing that I'm saying, you know, use a diversion technique. That's not what I'm pointing to. What I'm pointing to is where your experience, where your consciousness goes to, you experience it.
Mm.
So people want to change their experience, but they keep on staring blindly at what they don't want. And they wonder why they can't get rid of it. Well, it's because you keep creating it, because wherever your consciousness goes, your mind dreams up stories about it.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
It's because that's the way we work. I've done it with you before, I'm sure, where we pick up 3 objects and go, tell me about this, tell me about that, tell me about this. Have we ever done that?
What's it made of?
Just tell me about it. Have we ever done that?
I don't think so.
Right, we're going to do it. Pick up something quickly.
Got my phone.
Wen's got a glass. Oh, you've got your phone, go. Tell me about your phone.
I think it's an S21. I can't remember when I bought it. My kids usually try and take it off me so they can watch Power Rangers. It's got a case. It's got my debit card in it. And I use it quite a lot. I switch it off though, when or at least put it on airplane mode when I go to bed. So the kids
Go pick something else up.
right.
Pick something else up. What's that?
It's a red cup
Tell
with
me
a little
about
bit of water left. It's got a little bit of water left in it.
Oh, that's where
Um,
mold goes. Okay.
Yeah, no, I can't see any mold in it. It's all right. It's all right. I could get rid of that quite easily. I think we might have bought it when my kids were going to have a party and we didn't want to buy a load of reusable cups. Sorry, disposable cups. So we bought a load of different type of plastic cups. It's got some stripes around the edge that you can't see very well. I think I put some water in it so I could cool down my tea if I wanted.
Pick something else up. One more thing.
Pen.
Pen. Tell me
A
about pen.
boring black pen. Well, I think it's a gel pen, so it's probably a bit nicer to write with. And it's about half full. And I think it was one of those pens that when you buy them, they've got a little plastic blob on the end, which I find a bit annoying. I think it was a red. And I think my mum bought a pack of about 30 of them, and this is probably the last one. I don't know where they've all gone. It disappeared. somewhere.
Perfect. You're really good at this. I like that. That's really good. Right. Okay. Before I asked you to pick those up, were you thinking about them?
No.
It hadn't come into your awareness. They weren't in your reality in that moment. You hadn't planned that.
No.
No. All right. Okay. So first thing you did was you picked up the mobile phone. And what did you do? You pointed your attention at it, your consciousness. You looked at it. And you focused your God-given gift of consciousness. You focused it in a direction straight towards your mobile phone. And then your mind started to bring you thoughts about the mobile phone. It's black. It's got my card in it. The kids are always trying to take it off me. They want to watch Power Rangers. It's this, it's that. And then I said, stop, pick up something else. And you picked up a red cup. And you focused your attention on this red cup. Now, can I ask you a question? When you started to focus your attention on the red cup, were you getting thoughts about your mobile phone?
No.
No. I remember you said something along the lines of, oh, it's got some water in it. Probably from where I've used this to, used it to pour some cold water into my cup of tea or something like that. It's got stripes on it, but they're faded. We bought these cups because we didn't want to buy our kids disposable cups for a party that they were having. You focused your attention, your God-given gift of consciousness upon that object, and your mind effortlessly brought you thoughts about it, brought you stories about it, Stop. Pick something else up. Pen. Got a pen here. Watch the gel pen, actually. It's probably actually quite nice to write with. It used to have an annoying red blob on it. Got it from a pack, I think parents bought me. You started to get all these thoughts just by focusing your attention. Your mind brought you thoughts, stories, memories about the objects. And when you focus your attention on the pen, you weren't, I'm guessing, I'll ask you, were you experiencing the red cup? No. Was your mind thinking about the red cup? Were you getting an experience of the red cup?
When I was focusing on the red cup?
No, when you were looking at the pen?
No.
No. And then we can go through all three, and we know that's how you won't be, once you're looking at the phone, you're not getting the red cup or the pen. When you look at the pen, you're not getting the red cup of the phone, and blah, blah, blah. So wherever we focus our attention, what our mind does is it creates thought. It creates an experience of it. There was some experience I saw you had when you had picked up your phone, you laughed. I can't remember exactly what you said right at the beginning, but you said it was something like S21 or something, did you say?
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, I think it's an S21.
Right, and then you kind of had you laughed as you said it, and there was some kind of emotion evoked within you as you looked at it, as you focused your consciousness upon your phone. Now, imagine the person who focuses their attention on everything that they don't want. What will their mind do? It will bring them corresponding thoughts to that they're focusing their attention on. It's not that they're malfunctioning. The mind's working beautifully. Mind's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's working beautifully. Wherever we focus our attention, the mind brings us thoughts. And it's not random. When you picked up your mobile phone, it wasn't like mobile phone, peacock, gremlin, 69, I don't know, letter C. anything like that. It was specific. It was logical. It was right for that object. You know, somebody else could pick up that object and tell a totally different story. But your mind, wherever we focus our attention, our mind brings us thoughts. Accept that. Accept.
And then the mind also comes up with the idea that you need to keep thinking about it because it's going to come up with the solution.
Einstein saying no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. Yeah. Our ego, our intellect likes to think it knows fucking everything. Accept it. It doesn't. But we do. We do. We have everything we need to thrive in this lifetime. What you did when you picked up the red pen, the red cup, the gel pen, and the phone was you brought back a load of memories. That's where we live. We live in the past. We live in old, obsolete knowledge. Understand that. A situation like this needs new thought. Needs new thought. And it will come from your solution will come to you via a new thought. It will come. One way or another, this problem will get solved. Because all problems get solved. Problems are thoughts, not situations. Not circumstance. You know, you will figure your way through this, and you'll learn along the way. You acquire faith through it. Through being challenged, you acquire faith. You start to understand your own magnificence, and you start to understand in greater depth the nature of mind. You'll figure it out. But just understand that if there's something you don't want to experience, constantly ruminating about it, or trying to figure it all out, or going to war with it, doesn't terminate it. Simply because wherever you focus your attention, if it's on a thought you don't want, you focus your attention on it, your mind's going to bring you corresponding thoughts of the same frequency as that one. And if it's shit, yeah, they're going to be shit thoughts. It's just the way we work. And you've seen it. 3 objects you pointed your consciousness at, and your mind brought you thoughts. You've never been taught to do that. No, that's the way it works. We've got to see that, understand it, and understand we are greater than that. But what a gift. You can point your attention in any direction you wish. Ask yourself for a solution. Ask yourself. And I bet in the next couple of days, you really surprise yourself. Point your attention towards a solution. You don't know the solution yet. Or you don't consciously know the solution yet. But you have one. And it might not be anything you've considered. You've got this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think I've probably given myself arbitrary deadlines as well for like getting things done, even though thinking, well, if it's that bad, I don't think a few more days is going to make that much difference.
It's mad what we can drive ourselves mad with.
Yeah. And then it's like, but I've got to do some research to know stuff. But it's so easy to see how that snowballs, because I'm sure it's possible to read a bit and then go, right, I've done that reading. I'll wait and see what comes up from it, rather than I need the answer now.
You've got,
No, that's really helpful. Thank
I
you.
had a client, she's an authoress, and she's done pretty well. And she rang me up going, Dave, I'm not going to make this deadline. Not going to make it. Honestly, it's doing my head in. I'm so stressed out. And I was listening away to her, and I just went, don't you self-publish? She went, yeah. I said, then who set the deadline? Me. Can't you just change it? Yeah. It just hadn't occurred to her. I'm like, honestly, you're paying me for that. Fucking hell, keep it. Less like that. It's mad what we drive ourselves mad. Yeah. But we do, our bodies can respond badly to things. Yeah, we're not saying it's all a thought. No, your experience of it is thought. It's created from thought. This whole universe is ultimately a divine thought. But let's keep this simple. Let's keep it human. Keep it practical. You've got it. Thanks, love.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I think didn't Wendy have a picture of her husband? Yeah.
Yeah, he's hot. He's hot, Wend. Good find. I do like a waxy flat cap. Yeah, that's nice. Good flat cap. He looks lovely, Wend.
Dave, can I ask, what if, like, when there's times when you have so much thinking and there's stuff you need to do, and it appears like that you kind of need your brain for, but you can't focus because there's so much thinking, but stuff still has to be done, and it almost feels like you're in a space of overwhelm where you just can't do anything.
Stop one sec. You broke up, so I missed a bit of that.
Sorry. So can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Where it's almost like where you feel so overwhelmed that you're almost like, you just feel like you can't really function or do anything, but there's still stuff that you need to do. And like, how do you do stuff? I don't know if I'm making sense, but you know, and it's like sometimes, because it's almost like there's an experience, you can have an experience of at times where there's been loads of thinking, and it's like you just do stuff anyway, regardless of what you're thinking is. But what if there are times when there's like practical things that you need to concentrate on, that you need to do, but you just are so stuck? Like, I suppose maybe it's like a case of, in those times, rather than like, do you just talk yourself into taking action? And like, for example, say you need to write an email about something, but you're so overwhelmed with thinking and life and stuff that your brain is not computing in the way that you want it to. Do you like just do the thing anyway and not worry about how it comes out, or whether it's right, or take yourself for a walk, or like, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm asking? I don't know if I'm making sense.
I don't know if I'm not. Yeah, that's good. But I get the impression you're saying, how do you function with a busy mind?
Yeah, when your mind is so busy that it almost like that it's affecting you physically, where you just kind of feel like, oh, I don't know if I could do anything right now. It sometimes seems like the choice is just to sit there and lull in your own doing nothingness, which doesn't seem very helpful. Or like, I don't even 100% know what I'm asking, but it's, you know, how do you function in times like that? Like, because it's like you can kind of go, oh, I'll just ignore everything around me and the whole entire world, and I'll just sit here and be in this mind funk. Or do I just show up and do stuff anyway?
Well, that depends on what makes sense to you, doesn't it? It depends on what makes sense to you in that moment. You know, I think we've all been in I think you're talking about a pretty stressful situation. You know, and if I'm reading you correctly, this situation isn't something you face on a day-to-day basis very, very regularly.
Yeah.
You know, this is something, I think, if I'm reading you rightly, this is something, it's kind of a left field, fucking come straight in, smacked you around the face, shit, big changes. Yeah, like when we face big changes, we're not very comfortable with it. Many of us aren't very comfortable with it. You know, and when we're not feeling very comfortable with things, we tend to overthink things. We can really overthink things. I think the thing that I would say is go easy on yourself.
It's almost like knowing that, like, a lot of the time it's like you can just continue, like knowing that it's okay to go, actually, me just sitting in, like, I feel like I can't do anything right now, and that's okay. That's not me like living in thought, and I'm going to get stuck there in like a space of depression. Like, I suppose there's sometimes when is it like, okay, just to go, I actually can't function right now, so I'm just not going to function. I'm just not going to.
Everything's okay. Everything's okay. Our problem is we think it's not. So we go to war. We start to think we're not good enough. We start to think we're malfunctioning. We start to not trust ourselves. If people could wake up and realize it's all right to feel anything, it's all right to feel paralysis, it will not last. It's an experience. It is an experience. It is an experience. That's all it is. It's an experience. It doesn't last. It will stick around for as long as it sticks around. What do? I don't know. I just face whatever I'm facing in the moment with what makes sense to me in the moment. Same as everybody else. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Get comfortable with the notion you are going to feel discomfort in this lifetime. I'll tell you what though, the deepest discomforts are your biggest gifts in the long run. Because there is another side to it. There is the other side. Every single person on this screen has faced seriously hard challenge. And I know that because you're human beings. We're here to be challenged. We're here to grow. We're here to learn. People are so afraid of growth. People are so afraid of, they're not afraid of growth. They all want everybody wants growth, but they don't want the challenge. Because everything that we talk about, when people come here with a thing that upsets them, what they're actually facing is a challenge. Not a challenge. And inside you, again, is the ability and the gift to deal with all of it. There's no wrong feelings, there's no wrong state. You cannot get life wrong. There's things that you can do in this lifetime that are socially unacceptable and going to come with consequences. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I ended up in prison. I am better for it, and I'm grateful, and I would not remove it from my history. I remember talking to Sue, a lady who introduced me to the principles, and I remember her saying, "Is there anything you change in your life, Dave? Anything?" And I said, "No, Sue, there isn't." She said, "Why not?" I said, "I'd recently woken up." I said, "Because it's brought me to where I am now, and I wouldn't change this for the world." She went, oh. Sat back in a chair. This might be relevant to you. I said, "I changed one thing actually, Sue. Now I've thought about it." She said, "Oh, what's that?" I said, "I'd take away everybody else's pain that I caused along the way." And she sat right forward, looked me right in the eye, and she went, "That's selfish of you." I said, "No, you don't understand. I'd take away everybody else's pain." She said, "Like I said." Hit me like a ton of bricks. We grow from pain. We grow from challenge. It's not an enemy. It's a gift. It's a gift that's been presented to you, but we don't like that gift. But really, when you open up that gift, you realize it's full of gems. But first, you got to get through the shitty wrapper of it all and the untidy parceling of it up, shitty wrapping, the idea of what's inside the box. What's inside this box? Oh, fuck, I bet it's disgusting. I bet it's terrible. I bet it's something I really don't want. Every single challenge is a gift. Every single time we feel challenged, our ego is challenged, there's a gift there. You know, and every single time we start to feel those feelings, they've always existed, by the way, it's always been there. That frequency of thought has always existed within us. However, it is now coming up and we are becoming aware of it. What a gift. Because now it's become visible, and once it becomes visible, it can no longer hide. Not saying that it's anything that's like a gremlin or anything hiding, but it's become visible, and once it becomes visible, we can start to see that's our ego actually showing itself to us. Then you have a say. Fucking hell, got a bit of ego around this, I didn't know that. The only time we face worry, we face depressions, anxieties, is when we've got some ego. But that ego, the moment we start to feel that feeling state and we start to see it, it's not that it's always been present within ourself. It's always been a potential there. And then all of a sudden it becomes visible. You have the opportunity at that point. Do I want to feed this or not? Do I want to sit around or do I want to act? Because nobody else will make that decision for you. But the only thing that I do know is that I'm as good as whatever presents itself in the moment. However, more and more I find I have the option to, do I want to go with this? Yeah. Pull that bastard over in front of me, open up his door, drag him out the car. That was the old me. I still have that thinking. I can still have that thinking from time to time. I can still have that aspect of ego crop up. It's not nice. It's not nice for me to experience. But what is nice is the relief when I look back and I go, I didn't do it. At one time, it was kind of what I did every day. I don't know what you do, but what I would say to you, Lou, is just go easy on yourself, love. You're not doing anything wrong. Nothing. 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 Nothing wrong at all. Acceptance comes from love. Love heals. Accept it. Give yourself a break. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself to get it right. You don't even know what right is just yet. And you've got no idea how it's going to play out. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's exciting. I was thinking earlier on about you. I was thinking, having been through something similar and knowing the anguish, I also do know it's a very exciting time. It's just human beings hate the unknown. But the known is the illusion. What we think is our safety is really a trap. Everything's the unknown. Walk through the unknown. That's all we're ever doing, is walking through the unknown, conning ourselves into thinking we know something, blagging ourselves. And we've all been all right. We're all here. And even those that fell by the way, are all right. Everything's all right. Sorry about that. Jen, did you just take over? Sorry about that. I don't know if you lot carried on without me. But I was just going to say everything's all right when we stay out of the future and the past. It's just when we get lost in time traveling that our suffering comes. Right now, all there is this. And I can see everybody's all right. But the moment we start getting into what ifs, excuse me, I've got a nasty cough. The moment we start getting into what ifs, getting into the future, trying to figure out the future, it all starts to look impossible. Of course it does, because you're living in no man's land. You live in, the way I see it now is you've got the dead, the past. It's dead. It's done. You can't change it. It happened. Yeah, it happened. Did it happen the way you think it did? It happened the way it happened to you the way you think it did. You've got the alive, this very present moment. And you've got the non-existent, the future. The dead, the alive, the non-existent. Most people spend their lives in the dead and the non-existent. Stressing about yesterday and worrying about tomorrow. Oh, but you've got to worry, Dave. You've got to worry to show you care. You've got to show, you've got to worry in this lifetime, in order to be able to, to function and to, you've got to worry. Dear, why the hell do we have to worry? Like I say, worry isn't a problem. It's just not somewhere to live. Worrying doesn't show you care. Worrying is just jumping in the water with somebody who's drowning. Yeah, when we stay out of the future and the past. We stay out of the future and the past. We start to see the illusory nature of the future and the past. When it starts to make sense, that's when it becomes easier to do that. Because up until that point, whilst people still believe in the notion of time, they will spend a lot of time in time. But when we do realize the magnitude of the now, the now has nothing to do with time, because the now is all there is. The now isn't the point in which the future meets the past or the past meets the future. It's simply the moment of creation taking form continuously, eternally. And when people live there, they're living in the alive. And it's funny, people who find themselves in the now meet God. That's where people meet God. They discover the spiritual in the now. Of course they do, because it's where the creator exists. It's where creation is actually taking place. Very few people find themselves in that space very often. But you lot will all be experiencing it more than you did. And there'll be times when we don't. Go easy on ourselves. Go easy on ourselves. Nobody's immune. We're all in the same boat. Just on different decks. Lou, did that answer your nonsensical question?
Yeah, it did. Thank you. And I you can see I get caught up sometimes when there's an idea of how I should be doing something or how things should look, or giving meaning to what I am doing or what I'm not doing, so yeah, that really helped. Thank you.
The whole perfectionist model, Lou.
Yeah.
Okay. Stop it. Stop it. Everybody's already perfect. We're already perfect. Excuse me. I think I've got some mold. Oh, now you've got me thinking. I've had this cough for a little while now. I'm going to Google it. Amanda! How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm really good. Whilst the screen went off, I got this wonderful text. What did it say? I haven't opened it yet. We need butter, milk, cereal, like Rice Krispies or Hoops, and poo tablets. What the fuck's a poo tablet?
Oh my god! So they're actually you can hear me, yeah? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, 50 bars for lunches. Sorry.
Yeah. So
You're
poo
perfect.
tablets are actually like calm sleeping tablets, but if you've ever smelled them, they smell like poo. So we call them poo tablets. But they're actually like have a good night's sleep herbal tablets. So that's what poo tablets are. Yeah, they smell like stinky dogs or stinky dogs and poo. So
Right. Yeah, right. Sorry, I wouldn't actually have read that out loud if I'd actually read that first time.
yeah, but it's not. They're not for poo. They're
I
for sleep.
totally would. I totally would have done. Yeah, yeah. Oh, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, sorry I'm late.
Yeah, we've got 3 minutes.
I know. I just thought I'd sign in and say hi.
No, thank you, love. Thank you, love. No, it's been a nice group. Has anybody got anything else they want to say? Any questions or anything? Lou, are you happy with that, love? Cool, love. Cool. Poo tablets. Okay, now. Just going to mute you, Amanda, because I can hear you eating your poo tablets.
I'm not eating my poo tablet. Sorry. I'm trying to mute myself, but I'm on my phone, so I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, right. Sounds like you're chomping tablets.
No, the cat is next to me having a wash. Might be that.
You know, there is that beautiful saying of Sid's. If the only thing people realised was not to be afraid of their experience, that alone would change the world. Certainly change their world. And our judgments, it's just our judgments. Our judgments. It's nice that we've got each other, that we can bounce off each other. It's nice that sometimes you can have a right stress on about something. You talk to your friend and they just laugh at you. Because it doesn't look as big a problem to them. And all of a sudden you gain a perspective. We're all just walking through this life holding hands. We're all the same thing, playing the game of life, taking it so seriously. None of us are what we think we are. However, we appear exactly as we think. We're all desperately trying to get it right when we can't get it wrong. Cannot get this life wrong. We're all running away from challenge when it's the fertile ground of growth. We've just got everything a little bit backwards. And Sid said, the truth you're looking for comes 180 degrees from the opposite direction you think it does. It's all an internal experience. It's all created from within ourselves. And it all looks so real, so of course we take it seriously. Like I said a few weeks ago, after I had a bit of a hard time, a bad day, doing my chainsaw out the tree, I told a few people. Had a bit of an Barney about it, bit of an epi. Got a bit stressed out. Say a bit, I mean like totally. So much so I actually stuck the chainsaw in my leg, not on purpose, but thankfully it was when the chainsaw came. And I just threw it in a bit of rage. And then I took my helmet off and drop kicked it across this garden. Proper bad mood. Ooh, if you understand the principles, you won't do that. You shouldn't be sharing the principles. Going off your scamp. But what came to me, what learning came to me, the gift on the other side of that is a gift that I've not forgotten. And I'm so thankful for it. And it just said, the further you go into suffering, the further into unreality you have entered. The further you go into suffering, the further into unreality you have entered. Well worth it for that insight. And that was the gift on the other side. The perspective that I can now draw upon, because I know that's true. Our true nature is love. How do I know that? Because I've discovered it. Or it discovered me, one of the two. We met in the middle. I don't know. I am it. There's no words at that point for that. But everybody, even if you haven't discovered it yet, don't worry about it. You are it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change a thing. It actually doesn't change a thing. The only difference is you know it. Before that, you believe it. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the fact. It's not something that you can add to yourself like a badge or a nice new garment. It's just a pre-existing fact that everybody is love. And when I say love, I mean, I don't even know what the hell I mean. But we are beautiful. And so anything less than that is an unreality. Anything less than that is not us. You just, when you discover that love, actually, when you discover that love, all you realize is what you thought was reality was actually an illusion of your own mind. And what you thought was a belief was actually true. As in that love. What you thought was just a nice idea that mystics and sages came up with, perhaps Jesus Christ spoke about, or other spiritually enlightened people spoke about. It was just a nice idea and you believe in it. But you realise, no, that's true. The rest of it's all made up. We're 180 degrees in the wrong direction. And it doesn't make you immune. It doesn't give you an anesthetic to life. If anything, it just allows you to live and feel deeper. Accept more. Accept your feelings and not need to go to war with it. It just makes you a little bit more easygoing with yourself, your creation. Because nobody else is creating it for us. Ooh, what about God? Don't create that division. Nobody else wants to say anything, can I please ask a massive favour? And if anybody needs to go, first of all, does anybody want to say anything? Can I ask that? I'm just going to stop recording and just say thank you, everyone. Thank you for a wonderful conversation tonight. I'll stop the recording and we'll have community group next week. Jen, can you stop recording? And in the meantime, can we possibly do